All right. We got a pretty nice audience here today. Looks like across platform, we're looking at roughly, yeah, approaching the 100 people mark. That's very cool. We've got a lot of people across platforms. Hello, Rich from Water Savers. Thank you for telling us what the weather is over there. That's awesome. All right, looks like we're live and dandy everywhere. Please don't leave Richard look alone in the chat. It's very lonely right now there. We know you're here. We can see you're here. So you can start kind of sharing a little bit about yourself. All right. Yep, we're live everywhere. Everything is good. Hello, everyone. My name is Tom Granod, and I will be hosting this webinar today for DeepSeas, introducing DeepSeas Complete. With me today is our amazing team from the DeepSeas Complete part of the company. I'm going to let them introduce themselves one by one, starting with John. Please introduce yourself. Tell everyone who you are.
Yeah, hi, good morning, everyone. This is John Mattis. I'm out here in California. I'm the practice leader actually for the Strategic Advisory Services that is the sort of the quarterback and the player for DeepSeas Complete. And I come to you with over 20 some odd years of security experience, mostly on the client side of the desk. So very excited to talk to you about our offering and be with you here this morning. So thank you.
Thank you, John. Dara, take it away.
Hi, everybody. My name is Sridhar Dara. I'm a director of product management here at DeepSeas, and very excited and glad to have this time with you. Thanks for joining.
That was quick and sweet. Thank you, Dara. Christina, take it away.
Hi, folks. My name is Christina D'Antonio. Very nice to meet you all. I'm the cybersecurity risk manager over here, responsible for assurance services, vulnerability management, penetration test, a gamut of services. Very nice to meet you all.
Thank you so much, Christina. Just to clarify how this webinar is going to run, we have quite a lot of content to get through. So we're going to do it in two steps. First of all, we're going to run through the deck that we presented and kind of talk a little bit about quite a lot, actually, not a little bit, about DeepSeas Complete and what the offering that we're launching today is. And then at the end, we're going to have room for Q&A coming in from the audience. I don't know if you all noticed, if you're on Zoom, at the bottom of the screen, there's a little box that says Q&A. If you click it, there's a proper place to ask questions. Feel free to throw all the questions you have there during the webinar, and we'll answer them in an orderly fashion at the end. If for some reason the Q&A functionality doesn't work for you or anything, feel free to use the chat as well. I'll review that as well. If you're watching us on LinkedIn and not on Zoom, use the commenting feature on the event in LinkedIn. We also see that, and we'll answer questions for that as well. And yeah, let's get started. Dar, if you can please share the presentation and get started. I think we can just kind of kick it off. And Dara, you're also starting up the discussion, so take it away.
Sure. Can you see my screen in full screen?
Yes, sir. Not in full screen, just yeah, right now.
Okay, good now?
Indeed.
All right, great. On behalf of everybody at DeepSeas, I am really privileged and excited to announce the launch of DeepSeas Complete. One of the catalysts of our growth over the past couple of years has been our ability to bring enterprise-grade security capabilities to the mid-market. And upon speaking to our customers, our customer advisory council, and polling the market, DeepSeas Complete represents the culmination of bringing enterprise-grade pre-built security programs to middle-market customers. And what we've been able to do is make this claim. We commit to bringing enterprise-grade security to your team within 30 days for less than the average cost of a cell phone bill. When we thought about developing pre-built security programs for the middle market, we identified critical needs. And while these needs are very common across the market, across the cybersecurity industry, they're particularly acute with the middle market. Folks are seeking cyber strategy and executive insights. They're seeking to establish confidence in their security posture and their ability to comply with regulatory frameworks that may be applicable to them. And most importantly, perhaps, is they need 24/7 defense and relevant threat intel. And so when we thought about bringing pre-built programs to the market, we thought about three themes. We thought about direction, right? Building a program and offering something that will provide customers with a roadmap and a tactical step-by-step plan to achieve it. We thought about improving detection by offering continuous testing, as well as the ability to detect vulnerabilities across the environment. And importantly, we thought about 24/7 defense, right? Monitoring devices, monitoring logs, and monitoring for vulnerabilities. And so what DeepSeas Complete is a set of pre-built security programs designed to achieve these outcomes and meet these critical needs. What are the outcomes? Well, we're committing to providing tailored security outcomes in a cyber maturity scorecard. We're committing to providing semi-annual testing as well as compliance readiness and 24/7 predictive threat defense and access to our industry-leading platform and threat detections. Christina is going to tell you a little bit more about what the program actually, or what each of the modules actually contains. Christina?
Yeah, thanks, Dara. So I'm going to go down the slide and then I'll go across the various packages. So from day one, very important, we're standing up a security expert and a team. We're not waiting, we're not onboarding, no months without coverage. You're going to get access to that strategic security advisor and the rest of the team that we have here at DeepSeas. Then we'll move into your annual costs and expenses, right? So I just mentioned you're not going to have to hire a team of individuals. Well, coming along with that, the tools, the software, the hardware, all of those costs off the table, right? Taken care of by DeepSeas. Once we're in there, we want to move into controls and compliance, right? And we want to figure out from an assurances perspective how you're doing. So we're going to do a couple of different things, right? We're going to look at how you fare from a security and a compliance perspective, right? Against frameworks like maybe a NIST or an ISO or a CMMC. We're also going to take a look at your vulnerability landscape and do assessments to understand what that looks like, and then further try to exploit those threats through penetration testing. Then we move into 24/7 monitoring, right? So at the endpoint, we're going to make sure your endpoints are covered, protected. We're taking the 24/7 365 so you can lay your head on the pillow and know that those devices are protected. Threat intelligence. We're providing business-specific threat intelligence feeds directly to you so that those can impact detections and response playbooks. We want to close the loop, tighten the loop between intel and action and stay proactive. Additionally, those intel feeds will help inform and influence the strategic security advisor in how the direction progresses for your program overall. We'll give you access to our vision platform. So I mentioned we have a team of security experts and individuals who are working continuously around the clock, right, to make sure that you're protected, you're covered, and that we're moving in the right direction. But you'll have access to our vision platform so that at any given point, would you like to see what we're doing, how you're covered, what those threats, what those trends look like, you can tap in and take a look at what that team is doing, again, 24/7 around the clock. Once we get into the 24/7 essential SIM, this is where we take from endpoint and go to network. We're looking at that log data holistically across your network, pulling trends, identifying areas of concern, and bringing that intel back to you, both tactically through programmatic efforts, as well as your strategic advisor, again, to influence the overall program. Lastly, monthly vulnerability scanning. So early on, I talked about assessments, tactical singular assessments, right? This is monthly scanning, programmatic. So we want to go in, we want to understand the vulnerabilities, prioritize them with you, help you to remediate and close those so that we have that continuous coverage. Now, if I take a look and go left to right here and summarize, right? If we look at advisory, this is really starting with clarity and direction. We're going to get in there, get that team and that expert in there, and we're going to start performing some of those assurance services around the vulnerability assessment, the penetration testing, and again, those assurance NIST, ISO type compliance frameworks. When you move into foundations, you get everything that you get in advisory, but I like to call what we add on always on visibility at that endpoint level, right? So again, now that's where we click on that 24/7 365 monitoring on your behalf. More simply put, peace of mind. Lastly, when you move into complete, you're getting everything in the advisory as well as the foundations, but I like to call this full defense and continuous improvement, right? Long or the short, we're going to continue to mature your program, broaden visibility, make detection more rapid, and continuously harden your environment. So varying flavors depending on the nature of needs for your business. This package is intended to the point of day one, making an impact, deliver value and outcomes that you can see and feel from the start. So Dara, if you could. All right, folks, I'm going to go from left to right at the top there. First and foremost, we've got that strategist driven or that strategic security advisor. Maybe you don't have that person that can commandeer the ship. We bring that. And additionally, we bring a suite of individuals, both in offensive security, vulnerability scanning, penetration testing, SOC analyst, MDR specialist, GRC specialist, incident response specialist, all at the fingertips of this individual to help you execute your program. Security excellence. This is not just strategy, but it's strategy plus execution, not one or the other. We want to make sure that we help you establish goals, we measure your progress, and we mature your program over time. Build versus buy. I've mentioned over these couple of slides the tools, the people that it takes to do this. That all comes at cost. Net of cost, that all comes at runway to be able to actually build that up in your own organization. Instead of having to do that and wait 6 to 9 months to onboard those people, get them trained, comfortable, and familiar with your environment, you're getting access to experts that do this, live, eat, sleep, and breathe this every single day and are ready to support you again, day one. 24/7 coverage. I really like to summarize this as peace of mind. Again, depending on what package you choose, that coverage varies slightly, but our analysts are monitoring your endpoints and or your network 24/7, 365, and proactively feeding to your strategic advisor, as well as you, anything that is of importance or note. Simplify procurement, the last one. This is a nightmare for everybody, right? We've simplified this to be one single partner, one single contract, one integrated program. It doesn't get any simpler than that. So rather than having to juggle multiple vendors, multiple contracts, multiple procurement processes, and having to go back constantly for the needs that continually to progress with this emerging landscape that we're in, we've got you covered with one. Dara,
Dara, before you,
thanks.
Thank you, Christina. Dara, before you hop in, I just want to remind everyone, in case you forgot from the last 12 minutes where I said it earlier, there's a Q&A button right here at the bottom. Feel free to use it to ask any questions you might have for the team. We will answer them in kind of an orderly fashion towards the end. Also, we do, I see have some incoming questions from LinkedIn, which I'm also monitoring just in case you guys on LinkedIn are not sure that I am. I see them, no worries, and we'll answer them at the end. Thank you so much. And Dara, sorry for barging in.
No, thanks, Tom. And thanks, Christina, for describing the 3 programs we're offering here. Absolutely. Now, perhaps most importantly for the audience, what do you get? What are the outcomes that DeepSeas Complete will deliver? Well, within 30 days, we will improve your cyber posture, working with your security advisor and the teams stretching from our 24/7 SOC delivery team to our professional services colleagues. You will improve your cyber posture and see a meaningful improvement within 30 days. Within 30 days, we'll identify and eliminate top risks. That includes prioritizing them and providing you with detailed remediation steps. We will test your defenses, right? We will execute pen tests based on our understanding of your environment to test the efficacy of the controls. Importantly, we'll provide you visibility into your attack surface. We have a dedicated threat intelligence team that is responsible not only for evaluating the threats that are attacking your environment, but the prospective threats that are lurking externally, giving you proactive visibility into the threat landscape. Of course, as a Foundations or a Complete customer, you will get access to the DeepSeas platform. That includes our suite of custom detections and all of the cyber fusion elements that we use to deliver 24/7 services. And perhaps most importantly, or at least most quantifiable, is the outcomes, right? The ability to visualize and see the metrics that are governed or that are generated by the services that we're providing. And you'll be able to see measurable outcomes that you can communicate to your leadership. And so in totality, what we're trying to do here is make security simple, cost-effective, relevant, and measurable for you and your leadership teams.
Thank you, Dara. John, I think you're up.
Do you want to take the web chat comments as they come in, Tom, or are you trying to look at those at the end of the...
Well, I was wanting to do them at the end, but since, you're already asked, so definitely you can answer Dean's question now.
I just want to let Dean know that I'm seeing your question out there. And I guess, before I go into actually how we do this, because I think that's really important to kind of figure out like, okay, this all sounds good, but how is it actually going to fit into our, unique technology delivery environment? Just to answer your question, if you're with DeepSeas today, you probably have an account executive, and they'll help you figure out exactly where you stand with us particularly today. And in terms of like rounding out your security stack and understanding, what you should be using for optimal protection, it's a journey, right? When you work with us, and you have a security advisor on your team, that's sort of like your right hand, professional. And what we want to do is we want to assess, we want to scan and we want to test. And then obviously we're going to move into optimizing and rationalizing, right? And I say that because as we unravel and we integrate into DeepSeas Complete, we're going to look at your overall security stack, and you may have redundancies or you may have opportunities to optimize your current security tooling. So that's part of the process. And Dean, if you have any follow-up questions, feel free to either ping me directly or follow up in the Slack. But I do want to kind of pivot back to the execution of this whole thing, right? So, it's really important to say that this whole program was developed by CISOs and security executives for security and technology executives, right? Like, we have metrics in place. We want to make sure that the vision aligns with your technology delivery right out of the gate. Like, what we did and where we are going needs to be in step with y'all. And, really, as we start to demonstrate the program maturity and the implementation of the strategy of this DeepSeas Complete model, it's a comprehensive roadmap that aligns to your pre-existing tech ambitions and how you're using technology to, really drive your business forward. And we'll also kind of comment if we can today, and all obviously in the reporting that we do on what is success. How does this execution actually deliver for us? And are we in agreement that our measures of success are what your board and your leadership believes is equally successful? So let's take a look at some of these slides here. So meet your new security team, right? Like I introduced myself as sort of the quarterback, and my team is the quarterback to this offering. I myself am a 3-time CISO, so I've seen the good and the bad and the ugly on how security can sometimes be an isolated sort of activity in an organization, and I've also seen it very, very well integrated into the overall technology day to day and pulse. And so when you have a security advisor that is sort of your linkage in to your security operations center, and your focused threat detection engineering groups and your intelligence piece, that's something that when you do it on a build versus buy model, sometimes that is a collateral duty at best, and sometimes it's a very reactionary response. Whereas with us, we have a cadenced conversation behind the scene on our side of the desk, where we're really looking at your network and your reality on a one-by-one basis to make sure that you're getting a unique set of eyes. And so along with our client success manager who rides along throughout the relationship, we make sure that your compliance and your regulatory target is set. Is it 50 yards back? Is it 1,500 yards back? Are you hitting a SOC 2 target? Are you hitting a NIST target? Do you have a collective framework? Like, we make sure that your GRC activities are dialed in a manner that is consistent with how you interpret that compliance reality at your business. And again, the proactive nature of what we do here at DeepSeas can't be undersold. Like, we are an offensive-minded group of people. We know that in order to deliver security correctly, we have to be proactive and offensive. And so I think as you guys come to know us at DeepSeas, you'll be just thrilled that there's hundreds of security advisors out there, all with unique security capabilities and focuses that you get to plug and play into through your dedicated security advisor. So let's go to the next slide. So our execution plan, how are we going to get you there? So again, within the first 30 days, you're going to get the initial set of security platform metrics, right? I call them my CISO metrics or my security executive metrics. Like, what have we done? We've set up, weekly cadenced with folks. We've gone in, we've done, rapid risk assessments. We lean heavy on a platform-led approach. We roll up our sleeves with our technology, and we really want to get down to the brass tacks on what the risk narrative is within 30 days. This isn't a risk assessment that's going to bleed 2 or 3 months out, and you're going to get the report, in 4 months when your network reality is different. Like, we want to land that early and right away. And we want to make sure that we are all in agreement with what that security maturity looks like from your perspective and our perspective. And more importantly, define what it is that your technology team is doing within the context of your business and how security can help coordinate that. That is like critical within the first 30 days. And I know that's a lot to unpack, but you folks that are on the performance and productivity side of technology, that are maybe collaterally handling security, should appreciate that security should be in concert with those activities and not distinct from those. And so then as we move into the 60-90, 30-60-90, like what did we do and what are we doing next? Like, how are we going to roll out with a roadmap that is in alignment with what you guys are trying to do throughout the year? And so, a lot of this will be policy discussions that you have to have, but also having a sound partner to look at how you're leveraging third-party SaaS applications and vendor management practices, and then button that all up. I obviously come from a military background, as a large group of us here at DeepSeas, and so we are very firm on cadenced conversations. We want to show you incrementally, month on month, how we're moving the needle on an ongoing basis to make sure that your network is more secure and your technology delivery is easier to do with us as a security partner in the saddle, right? So we track and we report on these strategic security initiatives in a very clear format that's illustrative, that regardless of your executive peers, discipline, a marketing professional should be able to understand this, a finance professional should be able to understand this, and obviously we can break it down to more usable, digestible information within your technology team, depending on what their need for that security information is. So we've got really clean reporting, which is something I stand behind. And then every quarter we step back, and whether it's a board level conversation or an enterprise risk management or enterprise risk committee conversation, we make sure that we have a tailored, return on investment conversation. Like, hey, are the security activities aligned with what your board finds valuable to drive your business forward? So I think being able to monitor that progress versus where your business is going is something that we bring to you that I think is very hard to articulate on your own. And so we're a team, right? And then annually we tie it all together, and we show you that day 1 to day 365, you're going to be in a way different place. We're talking about optimizing, and we're talking about becoming an industry leader at that point. So that's sort of the plan. Let's go forward to the next slide and unpack this a little bit, right? So the platform, right? You've got access to a whole lot of different things here. And, given the time and where we are, I'll try to do as much as I can. But if you remember back to the slide that Christine was talking about, there's core activities that are within 4 or 5 buckets of services, depending on how you come in with us, that are going to give you, access to our SOC and provisioning, and an understanding of how we will communicate with each other. A lot of us know that there's a need to have an EDR, and there's a need to have a SIEM, and there's a need to have threat intelligence, but how do we actually configure those to make sense for your business? And, a lot of that is tuning, and a lot of that is just understanding the business. And that's something that will be, very clear to you almost immediately once you see that you have extra hands on your tools, are the tools that we bring into your network. Setting up those dashboardings and those alertings, and being able to make sure that we have a sound understanding on, if there is an incident, what are the workflows and how are we doing this, allowing you to free up to do those other things that are important to your business. That's huge. Getting access to that vision and the SecOps platform is really important. A lot of you folks are in regulatory environments where proactive log management is becoming more and more important. So, the concept of a SIEM is no longer foreign to anyone. And we make sure that we integrate those log sources and normalize that data, not only around your regulatory needs, but around your business needs, right? Like if you're in a HIPAA space, we want to make sure that your SIM is doing exactly what, any HIPAA program would want with EPHI, or vice versa. If you're in the DoD pipeline, we want to be able to make sure that we're able to investigate alerts and get you information that is important, but at the same time, cut out the white noise, right? Like these tools are large, they're complex at times, but they shouldn't be. They should be able to give you artifacts of information at the touch of a button or at the pulse of a conversation. And that really is, I think, what I'm really proud of all the four things up here is the fact that we are very fast at getting information out to the field, and it's usually tailored around what your business needs. The MDR piece, again, I think that's what we hang our hat on. We are incredible at what we do. Our professionals here are dedicated. We have a sun never sets model. We make sure that we've configure your MDR alerting so that when you get a notice, or even if you're leaning on us to interpret those notices on your behalf, they're clean, they're understandable, and also if there is something that comes up that bubbles up that's a highly interesting alert, that you're not just getting a drive-by email saying, hey, look, this is something that's on your network. Myself and others are in there to interpret with you and really kind of take some of the guesswork out of, is this important? Where is it? What do we need to do? How does it relate back to our incident response workflows? Make sure that whatever it is remediated quickly, that the root cause of that incident was understood, and that we have a corrective action statement that's put in place that really helps us make sure that doesn't happen again. We review performance in tandem with the CISO, or the security advisory metrics that come out month to month. And so all these different services are comprehensive and in a way that really security should be demonstrated for any business together in one time. And if you tie that around with the fact that we have probably one of the best cyber threat intelligence teams in the market, in my mind, I mean, I would say that where these folks come from, I've worked with them, many of the folks in our team for several years on your side of the desk, and I just really like our threat intelligence reporting. I like the way that our reports are tailored not only to the industry but to the individual businesses, and that there is always, in every regulation, in every compliance, there's always that mention of how are you collecting intelligence and how are you sharing intelligence with your leadership. Well, you can lean on us for that, and you can rest assured that we are actively feeding you information that is important to your business. So let's move to the next one. Did you advance the slide there? Oh yeah, you did. Okay, great. Again, I'm not going to go through all these. I don't know where I am on time here, Tom, but this is
You're good. We can allow a bit more.
Say again?
I'm saying you're all good. We can allow a bit more.
Like, this is a very comprehensive execution plan. Like when we go in and we are, onboarding you into a SIEM environment, we don't want to just take logs for the sake of taking the logs. We want to make sure that we understand the use case and the abuse cases for each of these logs, and we understand what they mean to your business, and that we test that logic and that understanding before a true alert happens. So we train and we try to retain and maintain our staff around your account, and we have very little turnover. And as a result, the coverage that you get is very customized. We operate under an automated model. We automate wherever we can. So you folks operating, for instance, in the CMMC space, where continuous monitoring and automated containment are really a necessity at this point. You can accomplish that with us. Where we're really looking at defining what it is that can potentially impact your network, and document and learn from month over month what the attack vectors are, and so that we can tune our response to that. And that's really the proactive piece that you get. A lot of people come to me, particularly from the small to mid-size business space, and say, "Hey, look, we have endpoint protection. Like we have a tool. Like we're doing well." And usually when I get in and I look at those tools, I say, "Oh, that's great. Like, yeah, you have endpoint. Congratulations, but you haven't logged in there in 16 weeks. Like, so you kind of set it and forget it, right?" And let's just agree that, with how busy tech professionals are trying to handle the litany of demands that are outside the security space, that's largely what we see. And even when we do see more sophisticated, larger businesses that have a dedicated security team, and they even maybe have had the tenets of building a virtual SOC around their organization, it's just a division of labor issue. At the end of the day, you just need to have refined hunting techniques based on these outcomes. And really the other thing is the ecosystem of activities that we see in your industry space, but also in our collective customer space, allows us to really have an understanding, because this is what we do. This is our job. Our job is cybersecurity, and we want to make sure that you're able to offload that responsibility to us in a manner that's as comfortable as possible. And when you add up all these various pieces, and I guess I should also just speak briefly on scanning, right? And let me take one step back, because there's a lot of bullets here. So I view the world as a four-legged security stool. Like, are we hitting our regulatory targets, and are the tools in the security stack that we're deploying on your behalf or that you currently have in place meeting that mark? That's a leg on the stool. Do you have visibility on your endpoint? Like, how much do you know is going on at the edge in terms of what your users are doing and what the world is trying to ascertain on the edge? How aware is your security culture? Like, do your folks understand what it means to be a secure user on your network? And that is something that you can lean really hard onto security executives on our team, because we have a lot of thought leadership around how to ramp up your overall security culture. And then last but not least, to this scanning piece, is I just bucket that as security management. Like, what are we scanning? What are we patching? How are we dealing with legacy tech? How are we, when we find a criticality, or we find a high mark remediate vulnerability, like what is our commitment to remediating that, and what is the progress on that? And that's awful hard to do as a one-man band. Speaking from experience, you can have a scanning tool, and you can be scanning not only your endpoints but your non-endpoint assets, but then you kind of lose focus on, where are we going with that? What are we remediating? What's the consistency month over month on our vulnerabilities? Does it tie back to the fact that we have a legacy area of our network that we just have been, mothballing and forgetting about? So these are the type of conversations that we will be having on the month to month that, when packaged and directed, will really help you resource your overall technology program. So let's go to the next slide. Tying it up, a couple more serious, again, this is a comprehensive service. Like, I myself, if I was a CISO on the other side of the desk tomorrow, I would absolutely pick up DeepSeas Complete. And I'll tell you why: because you're getting the entirety of an annual security program. You're interviewing to be a security executive. A founder of a company says, "What are you going to do?" You're going to say, "Well, I'm hitting your regulatory targets. I'm going to be scanning. I'm going to be penetration testing. I'm going to be making sure that I have visibility on the endpoint." And really, when you go to DeepSeas, you're allowing us a high level of trust that we're going to do these things on your behalf. But let me tell you, we do an excellent job at it. Our pen testing team is best in class. Like, our scopes around our pen testing are done by design. And I say this in the sense that, oftentimes you'll have one service or one solution doing your vulnerability management and your scanning. You have another group coming in doing your pen testing, and that's great. It's diversity of vendors is a very interesting concept. But I had a really smart cyber mind at this company actually tell me that, if we're able to do the vulnerability scanning and really get some contextual understanding of where the soft spots are in your network, and then we overlay the pen testing, it's almost like having a wet piece of paper towel where we know the soft spots are, and we will start to probe on the things that are most likely to happen, which is very different than some of the pen tests that you see that are out there. So I just believe that the contextual findings that we find out of our pen test program within the context of this DeepSeas Complete offering just offer valuable insights that you're not going to find anywhere else. And so I think that's enough there, Tom. Let's go into this is great. I really like this slide, and I'll tell you why. It's a lot to unpack, and I promise I'm not going to do that. But I want to look at this because this is a timeline. If you guys were to sign up with us in February, like, what are we doing? Well, the very first thing I want to know is, what are you doing? Like, if I'm talking to a CIO out there, or your director of IT, or your CTO, or I don't know who's out there in the ethos, but I know you guys got plans. Like, maybe you're going through a digital transformation yourself and you're moving to a cloud migration. Or, hey, maybe you're expanding internationally and you're going to have an M&A come up mid-year. We need to know about that, right? And oh yeah, John, we're going to do an application go live end of the year. We're totally going customized. The way we're delivering our experience to the world is going to be completely different because we have this great application that we're going to launch. That is, I think, the difference between what we do and what other security departments, other security companies do out there. From the school of hard knocks, I've learned that we can't just tee up security jobs and think that they're going to be done on an island all in of their own. I put this slide together because I want you to know that if I see that you're going to accomplish and you're pushing hard on your digital transformation and cloud migration work in Q1, well, look, that's when we're going to do our cloud configuration assessments. And that's when we're going to look at all the activities that are in concert with that cloud migration. Because then as we move in to that compliance world where you're looking internationally, we're going to tee up, in advance and throughout that effort to make sure that, hey, okay, you're going to Europe. Have we accomplished GDPR? Have we looked at ISO? You're doing an M&A. Like, let's do the due diligence work and let's cover down on the policy piece and the GRC piece right then and there. And okay, now we're gonna go live with our application. And now it's we, right? Like, I'm using we because I firmly believe that we are in the saddle with you throughout this because we want that application to go live and we are not going to let security hang up any of that. So we're going to make sure we're there and that our pen testing activities are clued in on that. If you need to have a pen test as part of the go live, we're going to schedule it. You can see it there at the bottom. This is just, fictitious, but I want to make sure that our activities are in line with your activities. This is all within the concept of moving security left. And I want to bake as many of the security gaps that we find and the security requirements that we're asking for within these project teams, within these product teams, within the engineering teams. They should get to know us and we should be able to do this thing together. And that's the way you deliver good security on track and in step with tech. So that is that slide.
Okay, thank you so much, John. Before we jump over to the last section of the presentation where Dara will be presenting, Dara, you can stop sharing for a moment. Just want to remind everyone that I'm getting a bunch of comments in from LinkedIn. We'll go to the Q&A there at the end. That's the major source of questions for now. Feel free to use the Q&A button right here at the bottom or the chat as dear Dean used to ask questions. And I want to mention that we have recently gone over a rebranding effort on the DeepSeas.com website. I know we have both new prospects and existing customers with us on this session today. I urge you to go and check out our new DeepSeas branding and our new resources center over at deepseas.com/resources. Feel free to go ahead and check. We have got a lot of new stuff launching in the past few months. And that's it. Dara, you can please continue to the final end of the presentation. Just note at the final 10 minutes of the webinar, we will be accepting questions and answering all the questions coming in from the audience. Thank you so much for everyone who's still with us during this time, which is quite a lot of the audience. That's very cool. Yeah, sure. Dara, continue, please. That's the Q&A, so maybe a couple slides above. Yeah.
So just really briefly, we've alluded to it a couple of times, and I just wanted to foot stomp, right? Building out the capabilities that we are proposing often takes millions of dollars, many months, and you're dependent on a talent pool that is limited, right? We all know that there's a large cyber talent pool shortage. So building in-house programs, especially for the middle market client, for middle market clients, is prohibitively expensive, oftentimes prohibitively time intensive, and it's a challenge to find the talent. And so what we are proposing is a 30-day rapid stand-up of an enterprise-grade security program for the fraction of the cost of building in-house capabilities, right? Rather than spending the time, money, and resources to go build it yourself, we're proposing to provide a comprehensive cyber program that will deliver tangible results within 30 days. And, to John's point earlier, we talk to a lot of CISOs who say, this is exactly what I want. I want something that's simple, consumable, demonstrably successful, and something that can scale as my business grows and matures. And so that's what DeepSeas Complete purports, and that's what we intend to deliver.
All right. Thank you so much, Dara. Before we jump into the Q&A, I just want to mention again that you are more than welcome to ask questions as we go through this Q&A. I'm just going to go through the list of questions that we have here on the side. The first one coming in from James. Does onboarding support cost extra? John, you want to answer that?
Yeah, no, and Dara, feel free as well. But no, this is all included. Like our commitment to you is to bring you on to the team, and that the cost is the cost, right, Dara?
Yeah, right. And we have a dedicated team that is standing ready to onboard. And so we have a kind of a systematic approach to onboarding and technology deployments with a team dedicated to do it. And there's no extra cost, it's included. Again, what we're trying to do is simplify procurement and make this as seamless a transaction or seamless an engagement, seamless partnership as possible.
Cool. Another question coming in under the same kind of veil. Does threat hunting cost extra? And I think before you guys answer, Dara, maybe you can take it. Maybe we can explain kind of the general hunting process that we do here at DeepSeas, just so it makes the answer clearer.
Sure. Yeah. So threat hunting is included as part of the price, again, in the interest of being simple and direct. Unlike many of our competitors, DeepSeas actually executes daily hunts on both production and non-production data. And so we are not only evaluating our own efficacy from a detect and response perspective, but we're also hunting for unknown unknowns across all of the data that we see on a daily basis. And so that really sets us apart from many other vendors who execute point-in-time hunts or execute hunts on haystacks. We are running queries across our entire data set, both production and non-production data. And so that really sets us apart. Those hunt results translate into threat detections and threat intelligence that then we use to infuse into our detection logic to bolster the defenses of all of our clients.
All right. Thank you, Dara. If anybody has any more questions, that's a good time to put it in. If not, I'm going to let each member of the team kind of briefly finalize the discussion. John, any final comments before we wrap this up?
No, I mean, we are an open door here at DeepSeas. If you haven't been on our LinkedIn page before, you can see a lot of fascinating stuff from my colleague Aaron Berliner and a whole bunch of people out there. If you really want to get to know the depth of DeepSeas' commitment to keeping your company safe, I suggest you go there. Our contact details are out there as well. Please feel free to ping me directly on anything you have, any questions you have, DeepSeas related or just otherwise. It's just it's great to connect with the community out there, and thank you very much.
Thank you, John. Christina, any comments?
Yeah, my final thoughts. I'm just really excited for this comprehensive package as a whole. Tying a bow around all of these services at a fraction of the cost is significant. Having worked in cyber and managing teams and working with customers very much like yourselves for years, I see the challenges that you face, right? And having to try to consume all of this and move your needle or meet your compliance objectives, and to see that this can be simplified, and the rule of one contract, one team, and that team is like John mentioned, hundreds of folks here. That's super exciting. So I'm just really excited to get this out there and help people progress and mature their programs overall.
Thank you so much, Christina. And before Dara continues, I just want to mention Brian Jacobs' very, very nice comment here. We love the DeepSeas Sentinel-1 combo. Awesome. We love you too. Dara, please go ahead.
Yeah, just to reiterate the same points as my colleagues, I'm tremendously excited. We think this is going to be a disruptive approach to providing cyber services. The other thing I wanted to mention is that, while these programs are pre-built, we are flexible. And so we recognize that while we've built the programs to address the majority of our customer base or prospective customer base, we also recognize that certain clients may want to make certain substitutions or make certain upsizings or downsizings. And we're more than happy to entertain and have those conversations. If you don't think you're a middle market client, that doesn't necessarily mean you can't participate in DeepSeas Complete. In fact, it's more likely that you'll get a more attractive price, right? Because you'll see economies of scale. And so we are standing ready to deliver these pre-built programs, but we're also willing to and eager to be flexible and encourage you to reach out to us, and we'll do the same.
All right. Thank you so much to everyone from all across the DeepSeas organization for coming in and pitching as we are building this offering. Thank you, Dara. Thank you, Christina. And thank you, John, for all your hard work preparing with me for this webinar. I had fun. This was very enjoyable for me. I appreciate everyone staying with us all through this session. 2 comments, recordings coming at you via email over the next few days. Also, the recording will be made live on the LinkedIn page of this event in about 20 or 25 minutes, depending on the amount of time it takes LinkedIn servers to do their thing. And again, if you have any questions, comments, answers, thoughts, we are on the deepseas.com website. There's a nice contact us form there. Also, you can use each person's name with a dot in the middle at deepseas.com and message them directly. And we will be more than happy to have you in our next event as well. And yet the slide deck, based on Douglas's question, I'll answer all the Q&As that are just coming up literally right now. Thank you. Thank you, John. Will slide decks be available? Yes, we will send them over later in the event. And regarding the replay, yes, we will be sending a recording. That's it. And yeah, thank you so much. See you all. Bye-bye.